All right, time for some more mix reviews from you guys. Let's start with Andreas Gren. Okay, first impression pretty good in terms of the tracking and kind of overall production. Sounds like they had good attention to detail, good performances, timing, tuning, all that stuff. Um, it just sounds underprocessed, especially the drums. Drums sound pretty raw. I mean, overall, it sounds like they're going for kind of a raw vibe here, which is cool. But check this out. Let's just boost up some 8K and just listen to the snare in particular. Actually, the drums as a whole benefit from that brightness, but the snare was the main thing I was after there. And maybe we could take out a little bit of the honkiness in the snare. All right, guitars. Let's switch this to a side EQ. A little bit harsh in the 3 to 4K range. And then overall, this mix is just lacking some size, some oomph. So let's do a little boost around, let's say 200. You don't need that much, but definitely the guitars, the bass, just needed more low mids there. Drums were a little overprocessed. I still think you could probably fine tune those a little bit. I like how they're raw. You can tell it's like live drums. Every hit's different. But sometimes, even if you want more of a raw, natural vibe, you still want to just even it out a little bit. So maybe a little bit of sample just to help disguise kind of where he's hitting the drum differently. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. I like real sounding drums for sure, but I also want it to sound like he's hitting the drum the same every time, right? I don't want to hear like kind of imperfections that are distracting, if you know what I mean. But overall, pretty easy to really get this more into a finished ballpark, just with some EQ moves there. So good work, Andreas. Now let's move on to this track by Andrew Akins. We'll reset the EQ here. Okay, those acoustics need more compression for sure. They sound very weak and they need more mid-range. You know, definitely more 1K, probably a little more below that too. Like without that mid-range boost, you're just you're not going to hear them on, a variety of different speakers. Let me clear that because then looks like everything comes in here. Okay, so right away, exact same problem. Underprocessed on the drums. So let's brighten them up.
There's a buzz or a nagging feeling in the back of my...
Now, I'll back this off a bit just for the sake of listening to the overall song, because the drums benefit from that big boost, especially the snare, again, 8K, but the vocals are already kind of bright, so it's making it harsh. So I'll back it off a little bit.
There's a buzz or a nagging feeling in...
Little woofy in the low mids here.
Buzz or a nagging feeling in...
Okay, and the vocal...
A different emptiness than before, waiting to unravel.
It's kind of woofy in the low mids too.
A different emptiness than before, waiting to unravel.
But the main problem with the vocal is it needs more compression, like way more compression for sure. And overall, it's just sounding a little flat, a little boring. Let's see if we can just boost a little more energy, 1K in the mix. Okay, there's interesting kind of cool parts happening here, but yeah, overall, again, just underprocessed. Like we need more compression on the vocals. Those need to be more controlled. This, I guess, saxophone that's coming in, it's like too dynamic because it's like too loud and then it's okay and then it's too loud, and the vocals kind of same thing. Like we need more control, more processing on stuff here. Okay, I wasn't expecting that change in the song. But listen to the scream vocal now. It's bright enough, but it's kind of all brightness and all low end, which we've dipped out a little bit here. But we need more mid-range. A lot of people just neglect the mid-range of the vocal, like around the 1K area. So let's push that up. You'll probably hear how the vocal comes back in front of the mix. Now, we don't need as much on the singing vocal there, but again, scream and sing, both parts need a lot more compression there. And acoustics, they poke out again now. They're, again, too bright without having the mid-range beef to really be heard. All it is like, there's no really tone from it. So I'd be boosting a lot more, kind of probably like 700 to 1K on those acoustics, and also compressing them a lot more. So that's 2 tracks in a row, just needing more processing, like doing the right things, just not going far enough. Let's see if that trend keeps going here. Here's a 3rd track here. This is from Daryl. And let's bring this down. It's pretty loud. Same thing. Not enough. Everything sounds big right away. Like tones are good. Everything sounds pretty good. And then we just have this kind of like weak, dinky little snare. So we need that bright crack on the snare. Let's probably get rid of some honk on it. Now it's making the cymbals a little overly bright, but just bear with me on that. Your kick is maybe a little bit woofy in the low mids. I guess no vocals in this. Let's see if we can get a little more beef and size out of the guitars. Yeah, give me more low mids in those guitars. You hear it by contrast, even just with these EQ moves, it's like goes from kind of just like unmixed demo to, you know, something that sounds a little more like what you would hear on a finished record. Check out this hi-hat. So it's a little too honky in like the 600-700 area. Let's back up. That hi-hat, once we suck out that little bit of mid-range there, it sounds a lot more polished, a lot smoother. So overall, good work, Daryl, on production, tracking. Things sound pretty good here. But yeah, you're doing the right stuff, just not pushing it far enough. So I guess that's today's theme. 3 tracks in a row. We just need more of what you're doing. Let's keep going. This is from Danny Debella. This one is slammed. Look at that. Sounds like it's going to be intense. Okay, interesting. Now, we've got pretty much the opposite of the first 3 tracks now. Underprocessed. This one, I don't know. It's like right away I can tell it's good. It sounds big. Like it definitely catches your attention right away, which is great. Balance is good. The drums are so intense. On the edge of being over processed though. Let's keep listening. So obviously it's very loud. There's some distortion happening because of the loudness. Again, that's kind of adding to the intensity, but it's also probably a little bit fatiguing the longer you listen to this. I would definitely back this off a tiny bit. And now this is where we get into personal preference, right? Again, I like productions to sound larger than life. You know, this isn't a live show. It's a record. So let's make it sound great. It doesn't have to sound like a live band playing in a room. Like we want it to sound larger than life. However, at this level, it's like, you know, those kick and snare samples, I mean, they're I know it's a pretty common sound for heavy music these days, which is maybe part of why it rubs me the wrong way a little bit. It's just I've heard these drum sounds so many times, but they also don't sound anything like real drums, right? So I don't know. I know this competes. I know that people will probably hear this and be like, "This is awesome." And I actually like kudos to what is the name again? Kudos to Danny. Like clearly he knows what he's doing with this sound, and he's definitely kind of nailed this modern, hyper intense sound. So kudos on that. I'm just again, I don't know any of your other work, Danny, but I would challenge you and see like, can you do it with drums that you want to sound a lot more live? Without relying on these super intense, super processed samples, can we still get a good mix? I'm guessing yes, because your other tones, they sound pretty good. But let's keep listening before I keep ranting here. Yeah, you can even hear the compressor and limiter or whatever just like squeezing in on that big downbeat. Yeah, because it's so loud and there's so much processing on the overall mix to get that loudness, there's a little bit of lack of control. Like you know how the vocal is like coming in and that's affecting the compression on the rest of the mix. And yeah, we got that big like boom on the drop and everything just kind of like sucks in. I think this is a sign of that you're relying a little bit too much on overall mix bus loudness processing rather than kind of building all that stuff in from the ground up. Vocals sound too muddy, a little too much low end in the vocal. Let's dig into that. Yeah, that's much better for the vocal. Now, also at a personal preference, I might want to hear a little more mid-range in these guitars. Like they're very aggressive in the high end and they're pretty beefy in the low end, but you don't really hear much of the note of what they're playing. Now, it's also super down-tuned, so those kind of guitars tend to sound like this, but let's see if we can get a little more tone and note out of it. Yeah, I'd like to hear more of that in the guitars. It's like, what did I do there? 800. Oh yeah, see where this vocal is on its own here. A lot of low end build up there. Let me just loop this. Hear all that? Probably just needed to high pass filter that vocal a lot more. Yeah, something like that for the vocal. That's cool. Cool. Good work, man. I mean, it sounds solid for sure. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but I don't know. I like to hear a little more realism from the drums, but overall, sounds like you know what you're doing. All right, let's move on to Joey Mossman. Okay, so right away, this also sounds overprocessed, but in some of the wrong directions. Like the other one was overprocessed in the right directions, just like taking them maybe too far. This one is like, you could tell right away the compression is kind of pumpy on everything. Listen to those cymbals.
Barely awake, catch the train to do this shit again. I'm underpaid and I'm late with no interest to get. And till the next month, I'm pretty sure I don't care anymore. It ain't feeling the
Vocals very S-y, everything just sounds over compressed.
I'm pretty sure I don't care anymore. It ain't feeling the same like it did before. Now I'm overwhelmed with this. Maybe I'm bored.
Drums, again, under process. Let's see if we can get a little more snap out of them.
I'm pretty sure I don't care anymore. It ain't feeling.
Makes the vocals jump out too much.
No, how did she go? 'Cause this ain't it for sure. Stay up with the lights turned out and dread tomorrow 8 hours before. I'm pretty sure I don't care.
So that's what we need from the drums, right? Not the cymbals, those are too bright now, but we need that brightness attack on the kick and snare.
Being bored, reason for me to just back it in. I hate it here, I've made it clear. I'm out of bounds after the next one. So I'm pretty sure I don't care anymore. It ain't feeling the same like it.
And then even the guitars could be a lot brighter, I think. Let's see. Again, this is going to make the cymbals too bright, but listen to the guitars.
I'm pretty sure I don't care anymore. It ain't feeling the same like it did before. Now I'm overwhelmed with this. Maybe I'm bored. Anybody know how did she go?
And yeah, vocals too compressed. I can't really do anything with that. Just with EQ here, but you need to back off the compression. Just get a little less. As a starter, I would probably say you need to just get rid of everything on your instrument buses and your mix bus. Let's not over process there. Let's kind of just build from the ground up, a little cleaner, a little clearer with everything. Get those drums sounding brighter, probably more compression on those, but more of on an individual track level and not just like a bus thing where you hear the compressor kicking in and the cymbals getting all swishy and washy and everything.
It did before. Now I'm overwhelmed with this. Maybe I'm bored. Anybody know how did she go? 'Cause I don't know anymore.
Cool. Hopefully that helps, Joey. Let's keep going. Let's go, Mickey. We're gonna knock out a bunch today. Okay, this is definitely the theme for the day. Under processed. Everything needs to be brighter. I mean, the vocals are too S-y now, but guitar and drums and vocals, except for the S's, benefit from that big boost there. Let's again try to take out a little honkiness from the snare. I mean, not bad, balance and everything, decent. Maybe again, similar to one of the earlier songs, need a little bit more kind of 1K mid-range in the vocal just to help it cut through. And maybe we should need to compress this a little more. Again, under-processed overall, not enough top end on everything. And under-processed on the drums. Let's see. This should work. It's better on the drums, or maybe a little muddy too. Specifically on kind of the kick and drums. Okay, your kick needs that. I'm going to leave it off because everything else is better without that. So hear how we get a little more snap and the drums just kind of get a little more compact and controlled when we have this compression. I think that's definitely what this mix needs. Just more compression, more control on the drums, and just more, again, more processing. Doing the right things, just need to go further. Cool. Now, by the way, guys, if you're wondering, like, how do I get my mix reviewed on one of these videos? Well, I kind of just do it randomly, and I'll usually announce it by a post in the community tab of my YouTube channel. You've got to have, I believe, the notifications turned on. So go to my channel, subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way, when I post and say, hey, I'm doing mix reviews, submit your mix to me, you're going to get a notification that I've done that. Because usually within, I don't know, an hour or so, we get enough mixes to go through, and I just randomly pick some, and then, dozens and dozens more keep coming over the next couple of days. So you've got to kind of keep an eye right away if you want to be included. So just a little heads up there. Let's keep going. This is Shikar. Hey, my eyes are bad. Shikar area. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Let me reset this and let's take a listen. Okay, so again, this is loud. I already gained it down. Guitars, it sounds like tuning is an issue. Let's focus on this lead line though, because it sounds quite muddy. So just focus on this guitar. You probably need to filter that out a lot. Like I would probably process it something like this. Let's make this just the middle channel here. Whoops. Now I know this sounds a little bit wonky because it's affecting everything in the mix, obviously, but just listen to that lead guitar line. Now, if we had that filter and EQ on the lead guitar with everything else still full, I think that would sound much, much better. Because right now it's just, again, it's under process. It's too much low end woofiness and kind of nasty pick scrape. Could be a better tone overall there. Yeah, I can hear when he hits those open notes though, those open chords. It's out of tune. Lead guitar sounds better there. Okay, so hardcore drum samples here. I don't mind the tone of the drums, but it just sounds so fake when it's like such a fast fill and it's just like the most intense snare sound ever, right? It's become kind of accepted, but I think, okay, in my opinion, records that sound like this and like that other one with those insane drum samples, it's cool. Like I admit it, it's like, on the one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I don't think anyone's going to be listening to those records that sound like that, like 5-10 years from now, right? It's like kind of like there's those periods of time where like there's a trend and then, it gets really like taken far in one direction. It's like we start hearing intense drum sounds like, oh, we like that. So certain engineers and mixers, they really push it. It gets really intense. And then those records kind of die away because they're almost so overdone that it's like it becomes hard to listen to, and then the pendulum swings a little bit back towards like normal drum sounds, and then those records just sound kind of dated and they're kind of stuck in that era versus being something that is really going to stand the test of time. Now in this case, okay, that huge snare bomb, I actually love that. I don't love how it's happening every time. So you should just have it on that first hit and then not the next one. And then not here. You can have it again here. Not here. Again, on this fill, even if you use the same samples, if you at least automated the snare down, it wouldn't be so kind of obnoxious in terms of the intensity of it. All right, let's move on from focusing on the drums so much. Guitars need a little more mid-range. Might be able to accomplish that just by turning them up a little bit. Vocals a little muddy. And this time our snares may be a little bit too bright. Again, it's a very, very intense sample. Vocal could use a little bit more top, actually. I mean, I've just taken some high end out of the center, but let's listen to the vocals specifically now. Yes, the snare's just too much. And yeah, vocals sound very compressed, but it sounds like you didn't really handle the low end before compressing them. So a little too much low end in the vocals. So overall, Shikar, like, good work. You're definitely on the right track. You've gone a little too far on the drums. I think they could be brought back, and you could just do some automation at least on the volume. Maybe experiment with some drum sounds that are not quite so overdone. I really think that, again, you're kind of like locking yourself into a dated time period that probably is not going to stand the test of time. And then, yeah, just watch your guitar tuning, because a couple spots here, it just sound a little nasty. Things would really sound a bit cleaner and more glued together, I think, if you were a little more meticulous on the tuning. I will say before we get into this last song, if you're kind of watching this and be like, wow, how can you just like pinpoint those frequencies and know where to go? Of course, this is experience, reps under my belt. However, there are just certain frequencies on all the different instruments in your mix that just tend to work and sound good or sound bad, like pretty much 99% of the time. So if you want to kind of get a better handle on that, you can download my mixing cheat sheet. It's free. It's at mixcheatsheet.com. It's kind of got all the go-to starting points and frequencies for each track in your mix. So just like you've seen me like boost a lot of 8K when I want more top end on that snare, how that sounds good on pretty much all of these songs, well, that's on the cheat sheet there. And it outlines kind of everything for the rest of the instruments as well. So mixcheatsheet.com, grab it for free, and let's hit this last one right here.
They look the same. I'm not into the same old beats.
Okay, we've got a lot of squeezing, pumping on the compression again. Not sure if that's on your drum bus or on the mix as a whole. Either way, I'd like to just open up that compression a little bit, like not quite as much gain reduction, so that the drum transients just sound a little more natural and not so squeezed. Guitar tone definitely needs some work, so let's check that out. Little overdone in the mid-range here, around 500. Probably could be a little bit brighter too. Let's try that. And let's see if we need a little bit more like 1K to bring these guitars forward, the rhythm guitars. Yeah, that helps a bit. And that one that's in the middle needs to be even more aggressive on that cut there, and probably add a little more kind of 1 to 2K as well. Again, all that pumping compression, it's kind of emphasizing your low mids on the kick here. Bass too is a little overdone in the low mids.
Weeks go by, they look the same. I'm not into the same old beats. The days don't really differ. It's just eat, sleep, work, repeats. A lot of people long for more, but I can justify.
Okay, vocals under-processed, under-compressed, under-EQ'd. We need some more top ends.
Sleep, work, repeats. A lot of people long for more, but I can justify the stress. We got another 60 years or so, but oh well, that's just me.
And you can hear a lot of low end in the vocal as well.
Work repeats. A lot of people long for more, but I can justify the stress. We got another 60 years or so, but oh well, that's just me, I guess.
So that's better for the vocal.
Don't want these things, as a matter of fact I do. But before I get all tied up to I wake up every morning and the autopilot's on. I'm just trying to make it through this week alive without any kids.
Actually ends up pretty good with those EQ moves. So definitely work a little bit more on how you're shaping these tones. But definitely the drum compression is kind of killing the mix here. And you need more compression on the vocals just to control those, get those sounding pro.
Spend this solo thinking about things that might never be. After all, what have I accomplished apart from my uni degree?
Performance too. Vocal, you're getting ahead of the beat a lot.
After all, what have I accomplished apart from my uni degree?
Yeah, like the vocal's way ahead there. You've got to cut that and nudge that back, get that on time, or just get a better take.
Every morning and the autopilot's on. I'm still trying to make it through this week alive without any kids and house and car. Sure, it does get lonely, and I'm happy for you, my friend. Maybe I'll start to.
Well, overall, William, you've done a lot of the right things here. Some of them you just took too far, and some of them you didn't take far enough. And that kind of, nicely sums up this entire mixed review video. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, make sure your notifications are on so that you can get a chance to submit for the next round. Let me know if you like this style of video. If you want me to keep doing these reviews, I enjoy doing it. I like hearing the music that you guys are working on too. So big thanks to everyone who kind of bravely stepped out and sent their mix in to be roasted by me here. I know it takes courage to do that. So kudos to all you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.